welcome to the Unmasked Podcast! Today, guys, we've got two very awesome creators, very pog people. We have the creators of Boxcraft, the Minecraft server. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Wade and Dawn, two very awesome people, very cool friends. And today, we're going to be talking to them about this awesome project that they've got, Boxcraft. How you guys feeling?
Pretty good.
Very good, yeah. Lovely to be here.
Hey, it's great to have you guys. So to start kicking things off, I am going to ask a question that's kind of a little bit before Boxcraft, kind of back to your guys' beginnings. And that question is, when did you guys meet and how did you guys start working together?
Well, back in the day, I hosted a server for Tex, and he got involved with doing a project, the OG Nations, together with Wade. And then they kind of got into making their own SMP after that ended, as far as I know, which was Box SMP.
So
And in the middle of that, they kind of lagged and had a little issue with their server, and not being the best, and could barely keep up with what they were doing.
I was overambitious.
That's a mood. I want to do all the things.
Yeah, so Wade got introduced to me through Tex. And I offered Wade to host it for him, even though that took like an hour and a half conversation before he even trusted me to do that.
It was, to add a little bit more to this, because me and Tex were working in Nations. Tex was the big bad guy in Nations, and I was bought in by Aragon and was like, who was the creator of it. And me and Tex were just always hanging out after this infamous time where he basically killed me off in the story and I was helping out behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And I was also starting to make some events. I was doing various different events in different video games. It was through a group of mine where we used to do stuff with a game called SCP Secret Laboratory. And a few of me and the creators there, we'd run a Rust server. We'd done all these different little bits and bobs. And then I ran a event, which might sound familiar to you, because it was called One Heart Minecraft, where it was like, I think 20 or 30 of us came together to try and beat the game. And it was terribly planned. It was something which we thought would take 3 hours. Mm-hmm. I had keep inventory off, and obviously creators are trolls and realized they can put lava down to kill players because there's no PvP. Which destroyed all items. And so that was 7 or 8 hours of a stream.
Holy shit.
It was an absolute marathon, but it kind of led to other people coming to me going, oh, Wade, you shouldn't make an SMP. You should make an SMP. And eventually we came together and went, well, this Origins mod that's out. This seems really cool. And we created that Box SMP server. And I had this ambition of it being based around this idea of a city that grows and something. So it's like, rather than everyone disappearing to their own neck of the woods or anything, like everyone's in close proximity, everyone's able to talk to each other all the time, and didn't really account for the fact that is a lot of processing power in Minecraft. And so we lagged out. We had issues continuously because it was modded as well. And introduced to Don. Don bought everything over. We transferred everything over seamlessly, and it led to a really successful story campaign that we did.
Well, there was a bit of lag when we had an issue with some moths being taken into the overworld.
Wait,
but
I'm sorry, did you say mobs or moths?
Moths.
No.
This is, if anyone plays on Boxcraft, they might know we sometimes put a joke in about a moth. But essentially, we had a mod called Better End. There was a mob in it called a moth that came from the end. But for some reason, they just constantly multiply. And we didn't realize this until we got reports that the server was horrendously lagging. came into the server and realized it was almost like this line of lag through the entire world, like straight line.
Oh, jeez.
And as we went further into it, we found in a cave about over 1,000 moths in a small space. Entity cramming, basically. And we had to do this whole and the worst thing as well is we couldn't do an auto command to kill them. So we had to do proper extermination to just get rid of these moths from the overworld.
Boxcraft needed a terminating squad.
It was literally like that. It was hilarious.
It sounds hilarious. Do you guys have any recordings from that?
I think there's a few out from others. I think that unfortunately we were still on the Twitch days and didn't realize that, or didn't account for Twitch deleting everything. So,
right.
Yeah. But there's a few people with some awesome recordings. We've got clips and stuff from it.
That sounds hilarious. Awful in the moment, but hilarious.
Yeah.
I think also the moth situation was off camera as well, because it was when we got the reports through and people couldn't even stream on it. It was so taxing on their computers at the same time.
Oh, gotcha.
People could barely move, so only those with beast PCs, like me, Wade, and I think 2 others, actually could move. And it was straight up frame by frame moving to kill them all. It was 1 FPS type of event. It was a solid day of work. I think I had 15 frames, but it was that bad.
Yeah, no, that still sounds awful to try to kill him through. Jesus.
Yeah.
Dang. So
it was at the same time we actually came up with that I actually came up with making the pits for you guys.
The idea for that came through there?
So the origins of Boxcraft is from Box SMP, where in the story we were taking. It was all about the idea of this creator who makes dungeons and unique weapons to help the people of Fortuna, which was the name of the city, stay alive. Mm-hmm. And we really wanted to start delving into this world of dungeons and crafting these dungeons. So I went to Don about this, and I was told also that, Don, you've been working on this idea of a thing called the pits for years, and Don had been trying to get it to work, and I just went, yeah, go crazy. In a week or so in survival, Don had coded and created this entire computer system to build this amazing dungeon. It was called the Pits.
Just pointing out, I did get a lot of resources from some of the people to get along with it, but
it was still Minecraft computing in survival. That's the key thing there. And then it was almost like this tonal shift happened where all of our creators who'd been building this story up and working through things, it was suddenly everyone goes to the pits and plays the pits, and it just took over, and it was great because it was part of the story. It was really good, but it made us come to this realization of, oh, this is really cool and really fun. We like making games. I myself like making maps and making mini games. And we were sat down talking about this, and all the other creators as well felt this kind of shift in their communities. It suddenly went from, oh, this is a really cool story that we like watching, to I want to play in the pits. I want to play this story. I want to jump in and play this game. And we started having the conversation of, what do we want to do to if we wanted to make a public server or a server for our community and our viewers. And all of us, it was basically a group of us as creators. We kind of all said, oh, we don't have the numbers to be able to afford to do that, or the numbers to be able to kind of protect it, or even have enough people to be playing it. And it was just this kind of sudden click of going, yeah, but what if we all worked together and came together to make it? And so, yeah, we did. We came together. We grabbed different assets that we'd had. I think Tex had his own little island asset that we built from. We started planning a survival world, and then that led to making mini games, and essentially Boxcraft was then born.
That's awesome. So from the time when you guys had kind of crafted this idea and we want to make this kind of project to the launch of it, how long was it between the creation of the idea and then actually getting it up and running and launched?
The first time around, it was literally 2 months?
2 months, yeah. It's
kind
of weird.
That was only
had about 2 or 3 launches, so to say. 'Cause
Yeah.
we had an incident which we can
Okay.
talk about later.
So the first time around, it took 2 months to literally get it started, but that was only because we had the main hub as an island that Tex had made beforehand. Just pointing out, he made that together with me when I was hosting a server for him. And he literally worked for a half year on that project. Didn't want to do world edit, so he built everything hand placing every block.
That sounds like Tex.
Yeah.
He's insane with builds.
Yeah, just pointing out, this island looked amazing. There was interior in all buildings. It looked like a complete island with beach all around,
It's like a proper
harbor,
resort,
ships.
yeah.
Yeah, a whole resort with a hotel and everything.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's
Where
And we took it. We were like, he wasn't using it, of course, and he built it. We went, we want to showcase this. Let's use it as our hub world.
I mean, hey, it works.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then we kind of had an issue after getting quite far with the whole project.
So this is the infamous crash where.
Yeah.
Well, you said on what happened.
So from our server side, we had a glitch in our lovely drive for the main server, which caused a corruption in the drive. The only problem was, of course, we have backups, but the backup copied the corruption across.
Oh no!
So I was, when this was happening, I was preparing for a 24-hour contest stream. It was a competitive Destiny event, and I had been like changing all my sleep patterns to prepare for it, and I just get this phone call waking me up. I'm like ignoring it, and then I get another phone call from Tex, and I'm ignoring it, and then it just keeps going. My phone's just ringing continuously, and I pick it up, and it's Tex and Dom both on a Discord call, who basically just turn around and go, "Everything's gone." I was like, "What do you mean everything's gone? What have you done? What have you done?" No, wait, everything has gone, completely gone. We've lost everything, and it was a proper reset. Everything we'd been working on, everything we've been doing, was deleted, completely gone. And
everything besides 2 things for Fables. Everything else was completely gone.
So this is, we're talking about a year and 2 months ago, a year and 3 months ago when this happened.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to think, because we had this server. It was mainly just a survival server. We had what was Mayhem, the PvP kind of server we built, and we started making some mini games. And Don had been working on the start of the dungeons. It was not, obviously now it's called Fables, but we'd had this ambition of dungeons, which all stem from pits. It's essentially Boxcraft.
Way before that, actually.
Well, it's obviously way before. But I mean, when we created Boxcraft, the original goal was essentially Don to build the dungeons, essentially, and I was wanted some extra little things on the side. It was like, we'll get some other things going until the dungeons are done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And back then I didn't have any builders, so it was literally just me working on it.
Dang.
I think it was also when the crash happened, it was something like a month after your first course had been built with spiders and stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
And
I literally had the first raid, the first dungeon, and the hub was nearly done. The hub you see right now, just on a smaller scale, was literally done.
So it was a massive reset, and it hit us hard. And I was like, right, we'll come back to this today. I did my event. I was dead tired, and then we came back to a call, and all of us just turned around and said, "No, we're not giving up on this. We're going to keep going." And it's I hate doing the classic kind of trope of through the ashes the fire sparks type of thing, but it really was that we had everything gone completely. And a lot of us are gamers. A lot of us are probably the type of people where if our saves are deleted, we're going to stop playing the game. You can't be bothered to go through it again. But for some reason, this one moment, we just all said, "Oh no, what if we try this? What if we try this?" And it sparked this massive kind of push from other builders who jumped in to start helping, from our partners who jumped in. We sat down and built what is now the lobby space in Boxcraft. So when you first join in, the houses that that go all the way around, we started designing this idea, and someone started drawing up sketches, and then we started building from that. We started planning the core services of what we wanted Boxcraft to be, and Boxcraft, where it is, like, in a sense, it was like a year of work, and then we had the crash and reset, and now it's been almost it's just over a year, but it's now been a year since that's happened, and we are 10 times further than we ever were with the first version. It's incredible. Honestly, I'm so proud of every single person who has helped do this. I'm proud of Don. I'm proud of our builders. I'm proud of our mod team. I'm proud of the partners, because it is absolutely incredible how much
everyone that has been
built.
part of it has done so much for it, and literally been a huge help. So I can't say anything but thank you, because that's fucking epic.
And to add on top of that, all of us are like, this is not a full-time job. We're all doing our own jobs. People are at school. People that were doing other bits and bobs. So no one was full-time working on this. We were planning schedules, working through things, on top of doing our streaming and our content and stuff as well. So it's honestly, it still kind of amazes me that what we have built is kind of, I would say, on par of some of the other services I've seen where people have actually gone full time into it. So it's just a really good example of what happens when you have creators who come together to create content. Like, the goal of Boxcraft has always been for creators to make content and for creators to play on a server with their communities. And when we've all got that goal in mind, it's just amazing. Everyone comes together to create that.
Hell yeah.
And literally, I've hosted servers for a very, very long time. Some have gone pretty goddamn good. Some even better than Boxcraft. But the communities for those servers were not the best.
Oh.
And I will point out, I've hosted servers since Minecraft was down on the version 1.3.2. So that's a while.
Damn. That's cool as hell. Damn. That is an insane story, though, for like the start and like the beginnings of leading up to this bigger thing, Boxcraft. I should have asked this before, but with the conversation, I didn't want to stop because that was an awesome bit. But for those who don't or who haven't heard of Boxcraft or haven't seen it, what is Boxcraft essentially? Like, what can you do on it? What different kind of events and games and modes do you guys have to it? And also, how did you guys come up with the name for it? Because I asked about how you guys came up with the idea, but I forgot to include the name part of it.
So,
so
you go first, yeah.
So the name part kind of came with that. Essentially, the creators that was in it together was literally like all of Box friends, and we thought this is a box of creators, Boxcraft.
Hey.
It was, because we had, obviously it was Box SMP, and it was named off of me, of course. I remember sitting down with everyone going, okay, what we're going to do, Box SMP, we're going to call it Fortuna and call it this. And I was like, no, it's you. And at this time, a lot of the group and the friendship group, which we've now kind of become our own group. We've become a group called Beside the Point, which is our own little kind of hidden content group, so to speak. But it used to really just always be on my Discord server, my personal content creator Discord server. It was where we hosted Box SMP, where everyone was hanging out in there. And so it was kind of, no brainer of calling it, just switching over the name to that. We sat down trying to come up with loads of different names, and nothing just stuck. And I was playing around with the Box SMP logo because I really was proud of the Box SMP logo. put a banner on it and put craft, and everyone was like, "That's it. That's the logo. That's the name." And
we want that.
it was straight up. I think just from messing around with designs and different names, it just came about, and everyone was like, "Yep, that's it. We like that."
That's amazing.
And so that became Boxcraft. In terms of what Boxcraft is, it's a multi-server. It's a weird say. A multi-game server for creators and their communities. The goal from all of this has never been to be the next big like server like Hypixel, for example, or MCC or anything like that.
Right.
It's always
our
been.
goal is for the server to essentially pay itself and to have communities interact with each other and literally be here to enjoy and make content.
Kind of like a hub for content creators and their communities.
Exactly, yeah.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it's always been that. We've always kind of every single step, every single idea we've got has always come back to the kind of the point of, is this going to work for content creators? Is this going to work for their communities? Is it going to work for the community of Boxcraft? It's kind of those three kind of targets. So we take Fables, obviously, which you've just released, the RPG story / dungeon crawler / a fantasy adventure, you could say. And it's split essentially in three kind of core parts, and that hits our goal. We have one part which is for the creators to be able to make their role-play stories, to tell their kind of that epic adventure that we normally do privately. But then we can take those stories and build them into dungeons and into raids and build them into these lore drops into the survival worlds. So now the viewers can come in and actually experience that and play that and be a part of it. They can watch their streamer doing essentially in their safe environment, making their cool content, and go, I want to see that. I want to play that.
Just like Wendell.
Yeah, like yourself. And that's been the target with everything from when we created the mini games. All the mini games we've got have been always built around, is this going to work for a content creator who's got 2 viewers and a content creator who's got 20 viewers? We've always kind of sat down and gone, is this going to work for, have we got games that are going to work for small people, games that work for larger groups of people? For example, our Bed Wars maps, for example, we've always expanded the size of them so that they can fit with either a small group of players, or we can expand it so we can have creators come in and be creator versus creator. And that's been the big goal with everything. Is it's got to work for creators, and they've got to be able to make content. We can run really cool events through the system, which I can talk later about, obviously our event side of things. And then it's the creator side and also the viewer side. Hell
yeah. Tying off to that point you had talked about with events and things, how did you guys choose or kind of like decide like what games, events, game modes, anything of that nature that you guys wanted to include within Boxcraft? Like, how did you go about like, okay, this would be cool to have, these things would be cool? Would you guys do like brainstorming sessions? What was kind of the process of deciding that or going about choosing those?
It's a lot of brainstorming sessions. It's a lot of getting they're now called founders, but our partnered creators. We got our group of friends, our content creators, together in a room and said, right, what things do we want to record? What things do we want to make? Here are some ideas, and we start writing down different ambitions and ideas. So the game modes, we had a few of them come up with. We want PvP style game modes. We want these sorts of things. And I myself, I've always been scouring and looking at what things are working, what things are people doing, and how can we give it a unique Boxcraft spin, a unique taste. So let's take, for example, the event we now have, which is One Heart Heroes. Originally, we were planning something called Boxcraft Champions, a mini game style competitive competition, and we were right up to the mark of essentially going to run it. We were finalizing all the mini games. We were properly testing them, and it was something that hit. Just went, this is the same as everyone else. Everyone else is doing this. There's some awesome groups that we are looking at and seeing the amazing things they're doing and wanting to collab with them and going, right, that's kind of their space. That's their thing. So what can we do that's different? And Don and I are in a call, and I had designed up One Heart Heroes, which was going to be an SMP, It literally was going to be a whole new SMP. And as I designed that really cool logo and I kind of just showed it to a few of my core community, I got the wind about essentially about 7 months prior to it actually coming out from Aragon that he wanted to create nations again. So I'm going, I'm not going to make an SMP if he's making one. So what do I do with this? And I'm staring at this logo, and I really like it's quite literally a lot of the times for me. This is a really cool logo, and I want to use it.
But how?
But how? How do I do it? And I talked to Don, and something just went at me. Went, what if we made the One Heart Minecraft, the thing that kind of sparked all this, into a competitive event? And we're talking about it, and I start writing up some ideas, and lo and behold, One Heart Heroes came about, a creator competition, which really is uniquely different. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that out there.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that it's not.
No. And it's fun, and I think we like that. It's not always about trying to be uniquely different or anything like that. It's just trying to make something that's not so being like for us being like, yeah, we're the first, or yeah, we're special. It's again for creators. This is something uniquely different from other projects out there, other events, so that they can do it, and it doesn't cause any clashing or issues. If anyone, for example, when we had Fables being created, it was never starting to be planned as an SMP. It was only when we realized certain other SMPs were closing and certain other storylines were wrapping up, we thought, this is an opportunity where we can give that offer out there now for creators. But we always want to make sure that it, like, just down to the nature of Fables, if anyone hasn't seen it yet, it's kind of a multiversal story. That in its nature means that if someone is running, let's say, 2 SMPs, they could totally do both, and it shouldn't cause any clashing. And that's our goal from all of this. It's got to work for creators.
Right. Hell yeah.
Don, do you want to add? Sorry, I rambled.
No, you're good. We love the randoms. We love the rambles.
I'm used to them by now.
Oh goodness. So okay, Don, I know that you said that there have been a couple other projects that you've worked on that have been a bit bigger than Boxcraft, but is Boxcraft something that you guys are hoping to just expand upon what's currently written down and worked out, or are you guys hoping to expand it even further than what you've already got? What are your guys' thoughts on kind of like the future of Boxcraft?
At the moment, the goal that I have in mind is to, first of all, get Fable finished.
Fair.
Or at least at the moment we only got tier 1 in for the dungeons and so on, but I do want to add the rest of the tiers in, and after that we do have some other projects in mind that we might release on the go. We'll see about that.
Mm-hmm.
We're always experimenting. I mean, even now probably at the time of this your release of your podcast, we'll probably have some new experiments that we've got planned. But we're actually, after this, going away to discuss some new experimentations and what things we could do to Boxcraft itself.
Hey, hell yeah!
Well, it's just always that. It's always
just like, what else can we do? What else can we make?
Yeah, or what can we do? How can we shake it up? What things are working? What things aren't working? Can we, like, for example, we used to have a mode called Nightmare Mode, which was a extremely difficult Minecraft variant, and it was very like, a lot of people liked it, but it was kind of had spikes and troughs where a lot of people played at one point and then stopped. Creators weren't as interested in it, so we took the mode and we reformatted it, and we've now built that idea into Fables with the expanding mob levels, with how we're building certain dungeons and so on and so forth, and we kind of add that difficulty scaling in with what you'll soon be seeing released, which is called Retcon, which is basically, I like to call it Don's difficulty, which is gonna be
essentially.
I love it.
So any dungeons that's been made for the normal level tier is literally Wade and the other founders have every right to say this is too difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the Retcon,
that's all you. That's all
me. That means they have no say if it's too difficult.
It means try this out, fuckers. See how far you get.
Exactly. It's I think the exact quote I said is it's a nice way of saying Don's bullshit levels.
Yeah. So to put it correctly, we do have a thing in mind, which is gonna be a little spoiler on here. But in the sense that if you have walked around in Fables, you will see through a little wall there is a name tag that you can't get to.
Oh.
That is going to be the final boss of Fables, essentially.
Oh,
Yeah.
yo!
And that will be the impossible raid. Gun mode.
That'll be the retcon raid boss, the final retcon tier 12.
That's amazing. Tier 12?
I mean,
so you're going to have like
12.
tiers 1 through 12.
1 through 12, yeah.
That's sick.
Everything's split up in 8 level jumps up to tier 12, with the final 4. If everyone kind of knows about levels of 8 and 100 don't add up. The last 4 levels are kind of we call epic tier, and they're their own separate thing. They're tier 13, so to speak. But it's essentially we kind of say 12 tiers, but it's technically 13 because tier 0 exists. So
that makes sense.
So it's tier 0 to tier 12. But we're always experimenting. I think we've got some ideas on some of the other core gameplays. We've been constantly over the course of a year throwing ideas around. For example, with a project we have called Mayhem, what do we do? Do we make an extraction Minecraft event? Do we make it a singular PvP event? Do we make it as a constant server? Do we make it Rust but in Minecraft? And we keep throwing around ideas, and we keep trialing different things. And we're actually implementing some of the ideas we had when we were testing things into what we're going to be releasing eventually with Rogues in Fables. The idea of this, what happens if you have a persistent dungeon and you have to go in, you kill the mobs and try and get out, but at the same time other players are in there, they can try and kill you and take the loot and so on and so forth. And we've got all these a lot of the time. Funny enough, actually, a lot of the projects we do, because Boxcraft obviously is not just its own project. If anyone knows about Nations, or the second variant of Nations, we should say, that was actually run on Boxcraft systems. And some of the core mechanics we had when we had Nightmare mode was actually testing different plugins and different ideas that we could have put into Nations. And we always do that. We kind of take different experimentations and things like that. We kind of maybe release it for a little bit or try it with different things. And all of it is in the goal to go, let's see how this works. Let's see how it plays. Can we convert it into something else? So,
because I normally take the plugins and then just say, well, this function this plugin has, can we use it for something?
Yeah, I think we're very keen. Don and I have like the idea of taking things and making them work as they're not intended.
I love that. That is amazing. This thing has a purpose. Let's give it another one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at our mini games. One of the favorite mini games we have is a game mode we have called Bed Rush, which is just basically taking Bed Wars and spinning on its head. It's still using Bed Wars mechanics, but there's no economy system. We got rid of that. We reworked it. There's no normal kind of getting your iron to be able to buy arrows or something like that. It's just a full-blown rush to get to a center of the map.
Oh, whoa.
And everyone loves it, but it's taking a relatively known plugin and completely reworking it. And we're now entering into the foray of having people create custom plugins for us and custom work.
That's awesome.
That's exciting. Like that's the first steps into custom work.
Yeah, because I have never ever coded a plugin myself. Ever.
All of the stuff we've done has just been recoding things and taking ideas from things. And how can we? I think I like to jokingly say, how can we butcher it into making it work for us?
Hell yeah.
And normally way it goes, can we do something like this? And I go, yeah, let me look through my list of plugins and see if I can make it work with something else.
I like to get Don in a call and go, so what if we do this and we have this? And Don, I can just feel the hate coming up because I have to spend hours and hours trying to figure it out. And then he'll turn around and he'll show me and I'll go, yeah, that's great, but now what if we try this?
That's a cool addition, but here's another stick in the road. How about that?
Trust me. The first time I was to release Nightmare Mode, he literally put a stick in the wheel, telling me that first of all it was too hard. Secondly, there was a lot of bullshit, and that he wanted it run a different way.
So Don and I, but the best thing about this though, Don and I have very different. And this is something I should always say to any creator if you're doing any collaborations: work with people that you don't actually fully are on the same page with, but you've got to always have a level of respect, and that for me has been the best thing. It's why myself and Don have always been fantastic. It's why myself and Nominal Gravy have been fantastic. If you work around people who have completely different views to you, but you respect them and you can have good debate and conversation without getting upset, it leads to fantastic ideas, because
Absolutely.
I'll be corrected, Don will be corrected, we'll sit down with, and because we're clashing with these very different ideas, we can create something amazing. So one of the constant arguments that, or one of the examples I gave of an amazing argument that Don and I had, I say argument isn't the wrong word. One of the debates that Don and I had,
discussions,
yeah, was around the pits, and Don turned around and said, "I want to have this debuff that I think it was like instant kills you." But it's a chance, Wade. It's a chance.
Yeah, it was a low chance. And we were like...
no, Don, you can't have something that instant kills you. No, and it's just, and I think anyone was in there was just hearing this absolute hilariousness of arguments. As again, debates, but we've both got very different ideas, different styles. But because we can kind of clash them together, we've been able to create some really cool things that hits for everyone. Myself being a bit more of a casual player, Dom being a much more of a hardcore player. And we've been able to hit the mark and hit a market of all types of players, essentially, all types of communities.
Right.
I still got surprised by Wade, because normally he tells me when I make something that it's too difficult or that it's too bullshit. The first dungeon I released on Fables, he literally got around to me and said, "It's missing some mobs."
Oh!
It needs more.
Hey! Psych! Give more difficult.
Caveat to that, it originally did have it where it started with the small ones and then was just the big ones. And I was saying, it needs more of the small ones later on, so that it's variation. And I realized slowly that I was just saying, hey, you've got all these like 5 or 6 big tier mobs with massive amounts of health. Let's add arrow guys that fire at your back as well.
Oh no!
But it works. It led to us
so,
making the random system, and it works really well.
Hell yeah!
So literally now you start with first 3 simple mobs, then you start with 10, where it's 5 archers and 5 melees of the small ones. And then the rest of the mobs through the dungeon, except the boss, is almost random. Except
That's cool.
4 big guys.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
It's great.
You guys are able to like have these discussions and then work around situations and solutions that are actually better than you intended.
It's perfect, because Don and I, even earlier, just literally a few days ago, Don and I sat in a call and we're discussing what ideas we can do to rework the dungeon system or rework something. And Don will have one extreme, I will have one extreme. And because we're both at very different ends, but we're also, again, as I mentioned, if you're always respectful with the creators you're working with, and you are able to have those debates and able to have those open discussions, we can come to that happy middle and realize that we can actually make the best decision, essentially, that works for everyone. It's just the biggest thing I say. If you're going to be a creator out there, surround yourself with very different people. Surround yourself with people who will call you out and say, no, that's not a good idea. I think you should try this. And never be upset. Just, you don't have to take it on. You can. Don and I have plenty of times I've turned around to Don and said, I think we should do this, and Don goes, yeah, no, and I'm proven wrong, and it works out great. And we do this all the time, and it's just, if you're a creator, surround yourself with people who will challenge you.
Yes,
that's important,
because that's how you grow. Like that's
Absolutely.
how you become a better creator, and just find stuff that you're like, oh hey, I didn't know that I like this, but now I love it.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
But I can also say that Fables had not been the thing it is right now if it wasn't because of connections and awesome builders and people that literally thought that this was a good idea.
Hey, hell yeah.
And yeah, I can thank all the people that is part of the RP world, because without them, it probably wouldn't have been the thing it's going to today.
Right.
And
That's
just pointing
awesome.
out, Boxcraft has not been this active at all every day.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Before.
like every day or the days that I'm able to hop on in between work, I hop on and it's like the evening, and for me, I know that's later for you guys, but there's still like 20 people on when I first hop on.
It's
really cool to see.
Boxcraft have at the moment about 6 hours where there is less than 10 people on.
That is
I think
not bad.
6 hours throughout the day where there's less than
That's
10 people on.
crazy. That's awesome.
That's the morning for me only.
Right, because people are still
Which means
sleeping.
that's where I need to do the work and the restarts and the maintenance and
Hey.
I would add that the thing that kind of thing really has helped and why we can keep seeing these kind of spike, because almost like every single project we release, we see a little spike and it goes up and up and up. And then what we've done is we've taken experimentations and projects that we've done before and gone, how can we rework that and make that better? And it's an idea and something that I remember I was taught and told when I met a creator called Tom Scar. And the biggest piece of advice he gave, he's a YouTuber, and anyone who watches ASDF movies, that's him. He's an amazing creator. And he just said to me once back at Lincoln University in the UK that treat everything like a sandbox. Don't be afraid of, just make something, put it out there, look at it, how can you grow from this and make the next piece? And that's something that works, not just being as a creator, but as someone who creates servers and creates games. Take the projects that you've done before, never look back and go, that was a bad thing, that failed. Look at it and go, what things worked, what things didn't work, how can I take that and make it something else? How can I take the good bits and add that to my next project and grow? And that's what we've done, is we've looked at every single thing we've done and we've grown. And again, Fables wouldn't be where it is, not just without the builders and the amazing work of Don and everyone who's helped along the way, but everyone who's given us advice and given us their thoughts at every single step from every little release we've done. Right. Every step, everything has led to where we are now, and is going to lead where we'll go.
And the only issue that we can run into is if people don't come to us with ideas to improve it or things they feel like this is not working. If they don't tell us those, then we can't improve or get any further, because then we think everything's perfect.
Fine.
Yeah. So if you're a creator, ask people for their genuine advice and their genuine views. Listen to them and work for them.
Yes. Hell yeah. What are, throughout working on Boxcraft and the planning stages, pre-planning stages, even the current stages where you guys have stuff up and running and you're still getting other things out, what are some things that audiences and viewers and fans of Boxcraft may not know about the process of running a project like this, or of this size? Like, what have been some challenges that you guys have had to come across and work through, or things that have maybe like popped up like, oh, that was a complete surprise, we didn't expect to see that, but we did, and now we got through it? What are some different things that people might not think about?
I think viewers and people on the and people who play on the game and creators themselves, essentially with us, don't probably realize that when the stuff that we're releasing right now isn't end game. We've got 10 to 20 steps that we're still working on and releasing and still coming up with ideas. We've got entire documents of planned ideas, planned steps, and all the time we're sitting down and conversing and going, what can we do? What can we add? And we're always innovating. I think that is something we see when we always release something. So everyone kind of goes straight away, oh, this is a problem. Oh, this is bad. Why are you doing it this way? And it's like, thanks for the feedback. We're not just stopping here. We're working on things. And I think it's the one thing people don't realize is how much work goes into this and how much work goes into stuff that has yet to be released.
And sadly that we can't like pay people to actually do the shit for us because we are poor.
Yeah. Like Fables itself has been, on one hand, an actively worked on project for over a year and a half. It's been a project that's been thought of and conceptualized by Don for way longer. The stuff that we've got out now and the stuff that we've got planned are things that we've been talking about and thinking of for months. And I think that's the one thing some people probably don't realize is the again, like I said, the amount of work and how much time it takes to create something. How it's not as simple to. I think some people see something and they go, "Why don't you just do this?" And it's like,
well,
that's going to take
these reasons or time.
Yeah, and it's given me the realization of the fact, or the acceptance, I should say, of how developers must feel when they do this full time. We're not developers ourselves. Don is, but we're not full-time developers. We're not full-time games people, and at the same time, we're also amateurs in the grand scheme of things. And
I fucking wish that I could do this full time.
Yeah, and I see, as a gamer myself, and when we look online and we look at video games like, for example, Destiny, who's going through the rocks and they're having their issues, and some people just look at it and they go, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you change to the epic Unreal Engine? And why don't you just do this? It's so simple. And it's like, no, it really isn't. Like, the stuff that we've got releasing now, there may be a few things we've been able to fix and create because Don is amazing and is able to do it in a day. But a lot of the time, it's months and months of work that leads to this. Like, the stuff that we've been creating, like the first dungeon you're playing in has been something that's been in the server, technically speaking, for several months now. It's not something that's just suddenly been added to. Obviously, little changes have been added. Oops.
Oh, no.
That was perfectly timed.
Just the way that you said oops, as if like you did that. Just like, oh, oops, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's very, very busy at my end.
That's okay.
So yeah, it's I think that's the realization we've had recently is, I think sometimes people who play video games, not just in terms of on Boxcraft, but any gamer out there, any creator out there, should try to see what they can make from the content they've got and enjoy it. Obviously, as we mentioned earlier, do give your criticisms, do give your ideas, do give your thoughts.
That's how
but at the same time, be accepting of the fact that developers are people too. Developers are humans.
Yes.
We're not some massive corporation or anything. And even then, the gamers are the developers, in corporations, they can't just make things suddenly. It takes time.
Trying to do that 24/7 would probably be a bit detrimental.
And it's something that it's viewers and creators. Apologies for going on the ramble here, but
no, that's what this is for. Don't apologize at all. That's what this is.
I think it's something we see not just from gamers and stuff who are playing on our server and gamers we see in general. It's something that I can see from viewers with creators. The nature of social media and the nature of YouTube and Twitch and all the other metrics out there is almost like you have to do one thing, focus on one thing, and that's it. And some people don't realize that these things, any project, any video, takes time. Any of the big YouTubers out there, the videos that you're seeing were actually filmed months prior. Yeah. And it probably took even more time before it to plan it and come in. And I think viewers need to be a lot more accepting of creators being able to experiment, creators being able to try different things, play different games, and find the thing that works for them. And as a viewer, if you are accepting of a creator and you want to watch a creator, watch for the creator rather than just the game they're playing and things like that. I think that to me is probably the most important thing. Same with the server in the game. You know, some people have their ambitions of what they want to be doing, and if Boxcraft isn't it, it's totally cool. There's, like I said, there's always other amazing projects being made.
Yeah.
Me and Don are regularly in the DMs and talking to other developers of other projects, other Minecraft servers, other servers outside of Minecraft, and it's a network of developers always talking and spreading ideas. And for us, all of us, it's never been it always like the feeling of poaching viewers or something like that, or poaching people. It's find the thing that you want to do, find that thing, enjoy it, and don't be upset if it's not your cup of tea. And so it's not just creators experimenting and us creating. I think viewers should experiment with what they enjoy in terms of what they watch and what they do.
Yeah. Something that I also want to tie in with that, I also feel like with how algorithms and things currently are, it has kind of put this mindset into viewers of, oh, like just the speed, how quick people can get stuff out, and like trying to find the next thing. And so like in terms of creators, trying to take the time to properly plan and manage projects and get them out it's kind of hard, not only for them to be able to like give it the time that it needs, but there's also like a little bit of a pressure from either the platform that they use or maybe even their audience at times to like try to get something out, and then that can kind of like negatively work, like, oh, I gotta get this out, but I need to give it the time that it deserves, and just that back and forth kind of like struggle. I think that's something that's definitely prevalent in content creation a little bit.
I think you're also gonna take the time with this podcast to get that right.
Exactly.
take I think not just creators but viewers need to take the moment to breathe and not just constantly consume 24/7.
No, there's so much to life. Content creation is amazing, but like there's also like life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or playing the games that you watch people play and experiencing those individual things.
Yeah, and if the game's not got the update out,
play the games.
Don hasn't yet to play.
I was going to say, have you guys had a chance to play Fables or Boxcraft yet? I don't think so.
I've played. The only time I've ever played on Boxcraft properly has been playing either on stream, and I've played a solid 2 hours on Fables.
Damn. And it's been out.
This is excluding, and I exclude playtests because technically we do play with playtests. So, but that's kind of always in the mindset of a developer. Like we're playing it and we're testing it, and you're not just enjoying it because you're going through and you're always critically thinking.
Yeah, because you're trying to figure out where the bugs are and how to fix certain things. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't yet to play Fables.
But we're almost there. This is the first time I think where we've sat down and we're going to probably go. I think we're hitting into this really healthy kind of mindset of releasing things at these regular scheduled kind of 3 monthly drops. So we'll work on Fables, and that'll be the next thing. Then we'll work on the next project for a little bit, and then the next project.
It'll give you guys that time for yourselves. So like, we're working on this thing, but we also have this other time that we can use for ourselves, personal life, other things like that, or even just like other little fun things to kind of like tinker on, but like aside from Boxcraft and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah. To kind of continue on the conversation a little bit, what have been your guys's, this is kind of tied in with Boxcraft, but also just as a general question, what are your guys' favorite aspects of content creation? This can be in general or tying in with Boxcraft because that is such a huge thing that you guys work on and do. But I wanted to get both of your guys' thoughts on like what are your favorite parts of it? What are things that excite you about it?
Go on, Don, you go first.
Well, what excites me is when I see people literally enjoying and investing time in something I made.
Aw, hell yeah.
I'm literally that is probably the best thing that I've seen, that people actually enjoying this that I made, and that makes me literally want to work more on it, and improve on it. Every time that we have launched a Mayhem and people stopped playing after a week, literally made me go like, okay, what did I do wrong this time since they didn't like it?
Which, by the way, adding that to anyone who's just heard that, as much as it's important to tell us what things you don't like, it's really important to tell us what things you do like as well. People don't say things what they like, and that is like vital information. That's sometimes more influential or more important than the things you don't like, because the things that you don't like we can see through data by people not playing. the things that people do like is really important, and it helps us feel good and makes us go, we'll push harder with the next update.
Plus it can kind of be harder to tell what parts people do like, because sure, you can see what either games or servers or like modes people are like playing with, but you can only see that general part. You can't see like what their favorite part about that part or that game mode is, or like maybe they have a very specific task that they love to do in one of them, but you only see that they play the main thing. Yeah.
So for me, it's the journey. I'm a creator at heart, not in terms of just maybe just social media content creation, but in terms of I'm an editor an edit assistant in telly, and I've done some editing and stuff. And it's always the journey of and the amazement of how to get it from plan to final product.
Yes.
That is really exciting for me. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy it.
It's exciting and nerve-wracking and weird all at the same time.
Like, not saying that the audience reaction isn't part of that. The audience reaction is the bonus at the end.
Yeah.
But it's why I think with Boxcraft, and why I've kind of myself have spent a bit more time focused on Boxcraft rather than my own content creation, which I'll go back to my stuff in a month. But for now, it's just really nice to kind of sit down and work from the plan side to seeing it come and to its fruition, and then everyone playing it. It's a very satisfying feeling.
Hey, hell yeah!
I think that's like, if you're a map maker at heart, and my favorite games are games that are this is me going to be selling my age here, but there was a classic game that came out called Time Splitters. It was an FPS game, and in it they had a map maker, and I spent more time creating maps for my friends to play than actually playing the shooter and the story and playing things. And that, I think I realized about, like, same with Halo. When Halo came out, I was in the Forge. I was constantly making mini games, constantly making maps and stuff to play in. And I think anyone who is like that, who is like that kind of like builder at heart mindset, you are someone who is probably a set person to do make content, because you maybe didn't realize, you're probably thinking, I'm not a good personality, I'm not a good stage presence or anything like that. I used to be really nervous, and I'm gonna just jump in the deep end and go into content creation, and it helped me massively to get that boost in confidence. You don't have to show your face, you don't have to do all that, but maybe give that a little experiment and try. And if you, like I said, I think if you are a builder, you probably have that enjoyment from content creation too.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. And plus the kind of the confidence and stuff like that can come with time. Just trying to put yourself out there and being like, yeah, this is the stuff that I make. Just doing that in itself and looking back on the stuff that you make and put out can kind of give you that, like, holy shit moment of, I just did all that. Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't think I could do that, but I already did it.
Yeah, don't focus on the end goal. Don't focus on, I didn't get 10 viewers today, I didn't get 100 followers today, I didn't get 1 follower today. I'm not going. I look at Jacksepticeye, and he was doing this at this age, and then I look at this person, and look, this person just started streaming, they've already got 1,000 followers. Like, don't look at other people and don't try and equate yourself with them.
Comparison is a killer.
Yeah, exactly. And don't look at the end goal. Look at the journey and enjoy the journey, and make sure that every step you're doing is something you're enjoying.
Yeah. Okay, I do have a couple questions left. I do know that it's getting down on time, so I do want to try to go through them a little bit quick, just so I can touch upon them, but also get your guys' answer
stop
for
rambling.
them. No. I love the rambles, I promise. Those honestly help fill out the episodes a lot. Oh, goodness. But in terms of social media and with Boxcraft, what goes into the social media side of a project like this? I know you guys do have a couple people who help
out. That would be fully on way to
explain.
Don, so this is Don and I have this split where Don does the coding, the server management stuff. I'm the kind of social media, the community aspect side. So we kind of have those split goals. In terms of social media, is it like how we make Boxcraft known, are you saying, essentially, or?
Sure. I guess it could be that, or also just like, how do you guys use social media to be able to help the project, or to be able
I see.
to, yeah, kind of more in like that vein of stuff.
Lots and lots of research. A lot of people think any sort of creation, from creating Boxcraft to being a content creator, is I sit down, play video games, and I am funny. It's not that. It's watching other videos, watching other places, going into other servers and seeing what they have. It's a lot of research. We probably spend more time researching than we do actually either sitting and making, and that's important. Spend the time to sit down, write up the documents and things like that. But in terms of social media, it's look online, look at what's being hot, look at what people are interested in.
Take the time to do that research and figure out what's
absolutely
going on.
Social media is it's on one side it can be kind of a dark place on one side,
yeah,
but on the other side it's a fantastic research tool.
Yes.
As long as you're not looking at it from like I said, we said earlier about comparison, as long as you're not looking at it and being like, oh, how do I be them? How can I steal them? How can I? As long as you're not thinking it's that and you're looking and going, that's really cool. Why is that cool?
Yeah.
Why am I looking at that? Why? Yeah. Why? What is making that tick and what is making that work? Because it's not always like we look at Boxcraft SMP essentially was an Origin server, and we looked at the Origin stuff that was happening with a few of the Minecraft top creators, and we looked at their things and went, what is it that makes their thing tick? It's not the Origins mod, it's unique origins that fit into each of the person's characters and styles. So we took that and went, how can we code and create our own origins? And that led to Boxcraft SMP. That's the thing. I think using social media to look at other things, see what you can research, see what you can pull from it, and then create your own spin.
Hell yeah. Okay, to head on to the next question. Boxcraft has a couple different teams that help kind of manage it, right?
Yes.
What's it like working with these teams of people, like, and with a project of this size? What's it like kind of communicating and trying to work together? And yeah,
that's all you, Don. That's your turn.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
That's okay. You are A-okay. So Boxcraft has a couple different teams, like build teams. I think you guys have a couple people with socials. You've got the founders and partners. What is it like working with these different groups of people and teams to help manage the server or to work on the server as a whole?
A full-time job. That's the shortest answer.
Hey.
No, essentially, working together with all these people is kind of great, but also stressful from time to time.
Yeah.
When trying to get something done in time and no one is around, because everyone has their private lives and can't be around. And since I don't have the money to pay them, and Boxcraft don't have the money to pay them, I can only take people when they're here. So we do our best with who is around, and it still goes amazing.
Hell yeah.
Just to add in of a little positive thing there, though, I think something that Don does very well, which Don didn't pick this up, and I always notice this. Don does really well with team management in terms of letting people run their projects.
Yes.
Obviously, it's going to take some time and things
that.
like that. Like it takes time, of course, as Don mentioned, because we're not full time or anything like that. But the resolution is so much better. Just the nature of the pits, for example, it's obviously taken a long time. It's still not fully released yet, but giving people the ability to go, right, you're creating this biome, this area, go for it. Do your own research, figure your own bits out. If you want some help, we'll be there. And like giving some like the gist of this is what we kind of want to make, this is what we want to do, but allowing people to kind of go wild and make their own things.
Creative freedom
has led to some really, really cool creative projects. I think that is key. If you're doing anything with anyone, not just in terms of Minecraft, but anything where you're collabing with someone, you've got to make sure that you're not micromanaging them and you're allowing people to bring their creativity and bring their skills into the mix.
Hell yeah. I will also definitely agree that Don does that beautifully with what I've seen from both Nations and Boxcraft. This next question that I want to ask, it's kind of it's kind of more about like an industry side of something with content creation. So
Okay.
for both of you, how do you guys feel as both content creators and the owners of Boxcraft about the current situations happening among Twitch, Kick, and other streaming platforms? Does this or other situations even have an impact on Boxcraft or the creators a part of it? And
Absolutely. It absolutely does.
100%.
So not just in terms of how we run our kind of like the ticket system, which currently uses the Twitch system. So that's like the obvious answer. But the reality is that content creation is always shifting. It always is. And this is what we mentioned earlier about too many viewers are platform fanatics. And this is not just in terms of viewers, in terms of YouTube versus Twitch versus Kick versus Trovo and Instagram and all the other things. It's goes back to the days of Xbox versus PlayStation and Nintendo and all this sort of thing. Too many people have this kind of like, I'm going to be in this team campaign, woo this team. And rather than thinking about what happens to everyone else in the mix of it, the situation that's going on in the social media scape is changing. Like, for people who turn around and say, either like, Twitch is dying, and also people who try and say, you're overreactive, Twitch isn't dying. Guys, social media rises and falls all the time. The only social media platform that has kind of been able to be slightly stable has been Facebook. And let's be honest, not the only reason they're stable, the only reason is because they stopped focusing on Facebook. Like, that's the reality.
You're not
Facebook is a loss maker.
Wrong. That is hilarious, though. I haven't heard that like verbalized, but that is so fucking true and so funny.
It's the genuine reality. Like,
it's
most people don't have
Facebook
profiles and use them.
Yeah.
Like,
I only use it for Messenger.
It's not a platform. Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. They made Messenger. They made it its own app. They started making Meta and things like that. You look at YouTube as well, and how YouTube is adding all these different elements and stuff. And I think no matter your views, I personally have my views against Kick, for example. I don't agree with the gambling elements to it, and that's just purely because I have a gambling issue myself. So that's the only reason, really. But in terms of when you look at these social media sites, you've got to kind of have that realization and go, you are not bound by the social media site. You are the creator. You should make sure that you're able to survive elsewhere and that you're able to build your communities up as well. And your communities follow you. I prefer Twitch, even though I hate on Twitch all the time. Anyone who hears me probably thinks I'm a massive hater of Twitch. I do. I really genuinely despise Twitch, but it has the best tools. That's the reality of it. They have some really cool interactive
Sadly,
tools.
yes.
I think YouTube is definitely going to be the big market maker. I think if Kick is able to kind of
get their shit
change
together,
and change the kind of negative aspect there, but at the same time, it's not just Twitch and YouTube. It's the creators. It's
there's so much more.
Let's not delve into it. But you know, we know there's a certain Call of Duty creator who's in the mud at the moment, and that's led to massive arguments. And it's the political elements that are playing in. And I'm going to be very careful not to talk about politics, but it is the reality that social media and content creators, everyone's looking out for each other. That's the reality. We as a platform in terms of Boxcraft have to be aware of that too, how that's going to affect us, how it's going to help affect creators, because obviously, you know, servers are changing, stories are changing, Minecraft will be changing, all these sorts of things. And it's being able to, as a creator and for us as a platform, constantly develop and constantly evolve to fit the mold of what's the best thing for everyone.
Right. Hell yeah. I was excited for that question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love hearing people's different thoughts on these different kinds of topics. And that is something that, like, I don't know if people really think about that much, is like for people who run and organize servers or events, like how do these changes affect these people? You don't typically hear individual like accounts and things about these kinds of topics.
And they really do. Like, just take Twitter, for example. Twitter's change about the Twitter Blue scenario and things like that has actively led to me planning and reworking how we're going to be running One Heart Heroes and inviting in new creators. because unless we're paying for their new blue system and things like that, our message isn't getting out there. I've actively seen the data that of a shift of how many people actually are responding to posts, and then the whole nature of the event landscape is shifting and changing. There's almost like more. I say low quality. I don't mean that as a attack at all, but there is a mass amount of low quality events. A lot of them are going to be MCC ripoffs. It's time. I think the goal is looking at this metric and seeing how things are evolving and how can we shift. And yeah, there's a Twitter Blues change. We're now changing our own thing to be able to kind of compete that side.
The changes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Always be ready to evolve. Always be keeping an eye on things, and don't be afraid of it. That's the most important thing. I think. Look at everything and just be ready. Like, no matter your views on any of the other platforms, just be ready to be able to go. Flick the switch, I can jump over there. Flick the switch, I can jump back. Every platform's going to have negatives and positives. So just be just aware that things are changing. Like, this is the time where social media is changing. Like, this is the happening now.
It's, I don't know. It's something that I've been trying to follow with everything that's happening, but I don't know if I want to say that right now is a pivotal moment within content creation as an industry, at least how I feel.
Pivotal moments were happening about 2-3 years ago, I would say.
And this is the after effects of that?
It's not even that. It's a pivotal moment in social media. It is not just a single day. It's a constant thing.
Yes.
But like, for example, the death of Bebo was not in one day. That's a hell of a thing. Do you know when I said that? I'm assuming you probably don't even know Bebo.
I don't. Sorry.
No, it's like that was the social media. No, I mean, that's my age thing. That was the social media platform when I was a kid. Obviously everyone knows about MySpace and stuff.
Yeah.
Look at how Tumblr has changed. Every social media platform is always shifting, always evolving, and I think it's less of there's a pivotal moment happening at the moment in terms of the fight for creators getting involved, but at the same time, every creator has their own different goals, and that's going to cause a tonal shift as well, I think. So
I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, just keep it. I think anyone who's in any sort of space that involves creators, so that is everything from people who are creators to people who own Minecraft servers to game developers out there, keep an eye on it. Be ready for that shift. In the film industry and television industry, we are doing that as well. We are keeping an eye on it because it is changing.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I was hella excited for that question. Okay, so I've got just 2 questions left for you guys. I know it's getting close to the time. These ones are just really quick, and it's kind of like a little bit of a send-off. But I do want to ask you guys, what's coming up in the works for Boxcraft? Is there anything that you guys want to give like a little sneak peek to, or a little kind of like hint toward? Obviously, you guys don't have to say anything that you do not want to or do not want to share, but is there something that you kind of want to leave people with as we've got this kind of thing coming up. Keep an eye out for it. It's going to be hella cool.
This is where I'm going to look to Don, because I want to constantly keep talking and Don tells me off. So, Don, what can we reveal?
No, I'm gonna let you have a go ahead on this one, though.
Yo!
Okay. I'm going to reveal that we are always constantly working on Fables. Fables is the big goal at the moment, and we are looking at ways that we can, because Fables is the winner. Like, it is the thing that's working really well. So we're either looking at how we can give that shift to what other things we've got services wise, how we can kind of either replicate or convert. We're still up in the air of what we'll do there. But in terms of what's coming next in terms of Fables, it's the next dungeon that's being worked on. It's new subclasses that are coming soon,
which are very
really
cool.
It's the first raid and the first recon dungeon as well.
Yeah, first raid, first recon dungeon. They're the big things. In terms of story mode stuff, obviously that's all being done by all of the awesome creators themselves, but I am trying to look into some really cool things that we can do for the creators to give them some options later. For example, how cool would it be if a creator found a relic and suddenly became their own dungeon boss?
Ooh.
Health bars and all. That's not what's coming. That's kind of like
the
problem
ideas.
is Yeah, and but we are actively investigating and working, and that's I think the important thing to say is we until it's released, and even when it releases, we're constantly shifting and evolving and working on it. So,
fuck yeah!
There you go. That's your tease.
Hey, thank you. And then the final question that I want to ask you guys to kind of like end off the episode. Is there any advice that you guys would give for people who have ambitions of making and running their own kind of server?
Well, yes. The advice is look into how many people you want involved in the project, because running a server can be super expensive, and you kind of don't want to overdo it for just you wasting money on a project that's just gonna die within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You wanna have it planned and make sure that the people that you're involving in the project, before you even start hosting the server, is actually prepared for that. It's gonna at least go a month, because else you're gonna waste your money.
For me, I'm going to add to that and say the most important thing is to be aware of how much time it takes. Take your time, breathe, think it through. Don't be afraid to show people your ideas, write it all down, and just take the time. Because if you jump into it, as Don said, and you'll hit mistakes or hit errors, and you could end up having to wipe and reset, like what we've done essentially. It's totally okay to look at something, have a goal in mind of when you want to release it, and then it's totally okay if you need to push that goal back. Wait until you've got something really cool and then put it out there.
Deadlines are fake.
Yes.
Give yourself all the time you need. Don't stress yourself over something that doesn't exist. It's something that's just a construct of time. Well, thank you guys so much for joining on this episode today. It was freaking awesome having you guys here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Anytime. If you guys want to go check out Wade, you can find him at youtube.com/@WadeBox. And if you guys want to check out Don, go to twitch.tv/Dondius. And you guys should also check out Twitter for the Boxcraft server, twitter.com/BoxcraftTeam. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the episode this week. I'm very excited to see stuff that's coming up with Boxcraft, stuff that's coming up with Fables. You're going to want to keep an eye on it. There's going to be hella cool stuff, and you'll be able to try it out too. But thank you all.
Let's remember to watch Wendell as well.
Oh goodness. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the episode this week. If you want to go check out other episodes of the Unmasked Podcast, you can find that on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Samsung Podcasts, Podbean. I post them on YouTube, basically anywhere except Apple Podcasts, because that is a bitch to set up. No, legit, that's the only one I couldn't do because it wouldn't let me set it up through Podbean. It was like, do this, and I was like, okay, I did, and they were like, no, you didn't.
I was like, yeah, as someone who's done podcasts for the industry, it's hard for us too.
Like, why is it so difficult?
I know.
Apple Podcasts, what the fuck? Topic for another day. But yes, thank you guys so freaking much. Thank you to Wade and Don. It was a lovely joy to have you guys on. And yeah, we will catch you all later. Goodbye. Say goodbye, Wade and Don.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.